Chapter 1, 0001. Cluttered bedroom, a wooden bed. My head hurts. I. Still alive. Yet Tian's chaotic thinking slowly cleared up, and the memories of the previous ones in his mind surfaced one by one. At the same time, a new wave of memories merges with his own soul. So I crossed over. At novel bin at. He smiled bitterly. This body was not his, but a young man with the same name and surname as him. He came from the era of 2019, but now it is 2119, also known as the first 100 years. That is, he came to the era 100 years later. The era after 100 years is also known as the Age of Genki, also known as the Age of Talent. The news in Tian's mind about the past 100 years was digested by him one by one. At the beginning of 2019, many spatial cracks appeared on the earth, and countless fierce beasts poured out of the spatial cracks, and human beings fell from the top of the food chain at once, and survived under the ferocity of the fierce beasts. In the face of fierce beasts, humans tried to destroy them with thermal weapons, but a mysterious substance appeared between heaven and earth, which was called Yuan-Chi by later people. And this Yuan-Chi destroyed the structure of thermal weapons, making thermal weapons unable to exert their due effects, and even the nuclear bomb of the ultimate weapon became scrap metal. Mankind has suddenly entered the era of cold weapons, and weak human beings rely on cold weapons where are the opponents of fierce beasts. Fortunately, the fierce beasts that have just entered the earth are all low-level fierce beasts, which gives humans a chance to survive. After the research of many scientists, human beings discovered that the new mysterious substances on the earth can be used by humans, so a new profession has emerged. Warriors. Exercise the physique, absorb the vitality, and break the limits of the human body, and be a martial artist. At the same time, the talent of humanity opens. A small number of people have talents, and the most common is the cultivation talent. The cultivation talent determines the achievement that a person can achieve in the end. And in addition to the cultivation talent, there are other talents, such as sword talent, flame talent, ice talent, and so on. Relying on talent and martial arts, humans are gradually able to compete with fierce beasts, but most of the area on the earth is occupied by fierce beasts. And only a very small part of the area is occupied by humans, and one survival base has been established one after another. It is worth mentioning that the earth today is far many times larger than before, and it seems that under the influence of the vitality, the earth has expanded hundreds of times. Vitality, talent, beasts, what a wonderful world. Yet Tian took a deep breath and immediately smiled. Perhaps, it would be good for him to be able to come to this era. But soon, his face became heavy. The space crack appeared, the vitality came, and a very small number of people on the earth awakened their talents on the night of the arrival of the vitality. And the cultivation talent was born and did not need to be awakened, but other talents could be awakened the day after tomorrow, but for the earthlings at that time. The awakening of talent was not a good thing, but a disaster, because there was no matching strong body, and the awakening of talent was to find death, according to records, at that time. Many human beings were destroyed by the powerful power brought by the awakening of talent, and they were either dead or crippled. It seems that I was awakened because of my inexplicable talent, and the whole person was. It's exploded. Yet Tian was sure that he had absorbed countless Yuan-Chi at that time, and the whole person exploded, resulting in death. What kind of talent did I awaken at that time? I actually made my body explode, although 100 years ago. Human beings would suddenly awaken their talents because their bodies had not adapted to the vitality, but even if other people couldn't bear the power brought by the awakening of talents, at most they would swell to death or be crippled. It is conceivable that the talent I awakened must be extremely rebellious, but unfortunately I crossed over, and I can't know what kind of talent it is. Yet Tian was quite sorry. After sorting out the news of his previous life and this era, Tian slowly looked at his current body. This body is a 15-year-old body, placed in the Yuan-Chi era, which is the period when it has just been cultivated. Before the age of 15, the body has not grown well, and it is not suitable for cultivation, unless some big families use some precious treasures to catalyze the growth of the body. They can cultivate in advance. It can be said that 15 years old is a golden age, and once you reach the age of 20, if you cultivate again, even if your talent is very high, your future achievements will be very limited. Fortunately, it's not an old man's body, otherwise I would have been miserable. No. Yet Tian's face suddenly changed. He finally remembered one thing from his memory, and that was the gift of this body. The talent of this body is very low, very low. Weak talents. In this era, the most important talent is the cultivation talent, and the cultivation talent from low to high is weak talent, secondary talent, primary talent, medium talent, and high talent. It is said that there is a higher talent on top of the high talent, but that is not the secret that yet Tian can know. As long as anyone is at least 15 years old, they can buy a talent stone to view their talents, only to view cultivation talents, and other talents can only be viewed with special attribute talent stones. The predecessor was that after reaching the age of 15, he was so excited that he bought a talent stone to check the talent in his room, but he found out that he was a weak talent. And he was so angry in despair that he was angry, and this was the cheapest yet Tian who came over. Damn, weak talent, this is the most rubbish cultivation talent, and there is no hope of even becoming a martial artist. Yet Tian was also desperate. Martial apprentices and martial artists are the first two realms of cultivation, and martial apprentices are actually not the real realm, martial artists are the real first realm. And you can become a martial artist with the power of 1,000 caddies. But if you want to become a martial artist, the minimum limit is the inferior talent. The inferior talent is a level higher than the weak talent, but in the end, his life is just barely the early stage of becoming a martial artist, but in general, the inferior talent at least has one hope, once he becomes a martial artist. Even if it is the early stage of a martial artist, he is considered a big man, above ordinary people. But it's embarrassing to be weak and talented. Even if you cultivate for a lifetime, you are still a martial artist. This is a talent limit. If only I could change my talent. Yet Tian comforted himself. Knock knock knock. There was a knock on the door. Brother, are you in there? A slightly immature girl's voice came from outside the door. Yet Tian knew that it was his sister Yeyu in this life, who was 13 years old this year. Yet Tian opened the door and saw a cute girl like a porcelain doll. Brother, how is your talent? Yeyu asked curiously. Talent is everyone's secret, unless it is a loved one. If others ask, it is a provocation. After all, no one wants their talent to be known by others, such as some highly talented people. Once others know the specific talent, it may attract assassination. In this world, such things have never happened. Therefore, no one should ask about other people's talents. However, Yet Tian naturally did not blame his sister. Xiao, my brother's talent is very good, and he can definitely become a great martial artist in the future. Yet Tian stared at Xiao and smiled slightly, but his laughter was full of bitterness. But the next moment, his pupils shrank, shocked. I saw a virtual image appear on his retina. Human, Yeyu. Cultivation talent, inferior. Ice talent, elementary, unawakened.